The abortion industry has been preparing for this eventuality for quite some time. They've had the luxury. They multi-billion dollar industry subsidized by our own government until very recently, until this year, in fact, and as far as we know, only for this year at the moment. They have been well funded. They've put politicians in places. They've been able to kind of see this coming, and they've been changing their whole business model. The business model of the past, part of the technologies that we have that have changed the landscape. The biggest of those on behalf of the abortion world is the chemical abortion, right? So RU46, commonly known as the abortion pill, actually begins in late '80s under a company called Rusev Yuklev, which oddly or ironically enough has history that it among its history includes the providing the Cyclone B, which was the gas that was used to in the final solution relative to killing Jews and prisoners. So
You're saying the gas used by the Nazis is the same ingredient in the abortion pill?
no, I'm not saying it's the ingredient, but I'm saying it's the same company. Yeah, the companies, of course, as companies do, they merge and change over time. And in the history of Rusev Yuklev is this, Nazi supporting final solution chemical that was used in the gas chambers, right? That's so so you think from a both an ethical and a spiritual connection, like there's a lot of entanglements there. But chemical abortion then becomes a big thing in France, and then it starts to spread across Europe. And then actually, it was they were trying to bring it to the U.S. And there's a big story about this, and I know only a little bit of the pieces, but I do know that there was some real pressure. But this was like the parting gift to the abortion industry by the Clinton administration on its way out in its final year. They actually did several things. They changed the definition of one of the elements of the law for the FDA to treat. They did this intentionally so they could treat pregnancy as an illness because there were some emergency rules that have said, "Oh my goodness, if a lot of people are getting sick, and we think." Like, how could that be? Well, think about what we just went through with the vaccines and all that stuff. There's some rules that allow the FDA to fast track things if they're dealing with an illness that they can't do under other circumstances. So that's what they did. They actually changed the definition of pregnancy to become illness. Now, that sounds ridiculous on its face because pregnancy is not an illness; it's a natural condition created by the body. It's a wonder of creation and all of that. And so they made that change, rushed the rules together, and then they essentially approved the chemical abortion to be used in the U.S. And so we have it beginning in essentially it's in like year 2000, 2001. It starts to enter our market in a small way, and then that has grown significantly. So it really launched I want to say about, I think as of about 10 years later it was only 11% of all abortions, and then today 15 years later it's definitely 70% of all abortions. It might be as high as 80 or 85% of all abortions in the US.